2018 was an amazing year for tech. Apple was dominating, became the first trillion-dollar company, and then they became not a trillion-dollar company. Samsung made the best phone they've ever made, and people didn't buy it. And Google was on some stuff. I don't know what they were up to this year. And I wanted to talk about that and front page tech. So I had my guy, Jon Prosser, come with me, talk about the year in tech, talk about all those companies and his growth this past year in 2018. And we'll talk about it all right after this.
This is, you listening to Travis.
All right, I'm here with my boy, Jon Prosser from Front Page. I always call it like Front Page Twerk lately is what I've been calling it.
It's whatever you want it to be, baby.
FPT in the house. And you know, the cool thing is like most of the people who watch me know you because of me. You like, they know me.
I wouldn't say most.
You'd be surprised, like in my comment section and I've actually asked on my YouTube stories, like, where do you know me from? A lot of FPT, a lot of FPT love, which I'm totally
cool shucks. Yeah. Well, hey, I will take as much credit as I can because one day you'll be bigger than I am, and I'm gonna be like, hey, remember that one time?
That's not happening. That's not happening anytime.
It'll happen. I think you have far more talent than I do.
Oh, settle down, young man. Settle down.
Don't tell me what to do.
You just have a more like weird cult following than I do, is what that is.
It is a weird cult. Yeah, I'm finally accepting that.
Yeah, you know, for people who don't understand that, well, let's rewind. Let's go back to the beginning of January of 2018. Where, like, kind of was your channel and where was your mindset versus now? Just take us through, like, the big tentpole moments of this year to kind of let us know. Because at the beginning of the year, you were, like, at 40, 50,000 subscribers or something like that?
Something happened, man. Like, so we were doing this for, well, this will be, in January, it'll be 6 years of Front Page Tech. And the quote unquote success that we have now is relatively recent, like in the bigger picture and like in the timeline of how long we've been doing this, it feels recent. So our channel like kind of had a growth spurt, like literally, I'm not kidding. And this does not happen often. So I don't want people to think this is the normal, but like for years and years and years, we were grinding, and with like literally overnight, I'm talking 24-hour period, we went from average video views being 300 a video to 10,000 overnight. It was just a lucky iPhone video that like sort of blew up, and we took advantage of that. What's that saying where something about luck and opportunity being prepared? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Somebody Google that somewhere. It's a thing. So we saw like the success of that video, and we capitalized on it, and we started producing every day. And we got a bunch of subscribers, and then like didn't know what to do after that. Like we went from having not an audience to, okay, people are paying attention to us now. And in January, like it kind of, that happened towards the end of last year. So January, we were just sort of getting our feet into the water, and it was a learning process. Personally, I don't think the show got good until like January. And we've been doing it for a while, and it was just, I think it was a balancing act. For a while, it was too serious, and then it got way too goofy, and then we sort of brought it back to the middle where it's sort of balanced. But in January, I was just learning. I think it was for the first few months of 2018, it was a big learning process for me, getting used to like having the attention on me. And I think once I learned to take advantage of that, that's when things really started to like take off for us this year.
So, you know, in the general scheme of things, the people who were, you know, FPT fans then versus now, I feel like there might be a difference. Can you kind of explain that for people who don't know?
Yeah. So there's like, some of these people have followed us since 2013. It's crazy. Like and I usually know them by name. Like one is Pursoon. He's in the comments of almost every episode. He's been around for years, and I recognize the names of fans that have followed us for years, and it's crazy to see that. But there is a massive difference between, I mean, even our audience just a year ago to what it is now. I think a year ago we were like the new thing for them. And now my name is known, like, even if you aren't subscribed to the channel, you know of me somehow. Either like your favorite YouTuber watches me, or you've seen a video from me that was recommended to you and you hate me. So it's like now people know who I am, and it's not this new thing. and I position myself to where people either really, really love me or really, really hate me, and there's nothing in between. Right. I love that. I absolutely love that. And that's sort of where we are now. So the people that really, really love me are like the cult, and then the people that really, really hate me, but they still watch every day. So, you know.
Which is kind of nuts. From kind of the explosion, I know this is turning into an interview, but it's only everyone just settle down, everybody. Settle down.
Settle down.
Asking the question. Just settle down. We're going to do this because I'm going to do this. All right. Because I'm curious, like, at what point did it start to get kind of like strange or surreal? You know what I mean?
Oh, the pixel stuff. Honestly. We were like growing steadily throughout the year. And I was becoming like sort of respected in the industry, but the pixel stuff, like that took things to a completely different level for us in terms of my own credibility, which was a big focus for me this year, was just trying to build my own credibility in just the sea of nonsense that was Front Page Tech, because the comedy is a bigger aspect of it than the tech news, I think. And so I was trying to like be the funny guy that also, if I buckled down and got serious about something, I needed you to listen and take me seriously. Yeah. And the pixel stuff really, like, not just from the attention that we were getting organically on YouTube, but like, you know, the press, the media coverage and all that stuff. That was a little too surreal for me, because that was another one of those moments where we were growing steadily. I was used to one thing, and then all of a sudden, overnight, a lot of things change again, and it was another learning process. It's like every time I think I get it, something changes, and I got to like adapt to it.
Yeah. And then the last part of this, because I always I flip out about the story. I think it's so funny. When the pizza guy came and recognized you, I think that's just like the almost awesome story. Just tell that real quick for people who haven't heard it.
Yeah. So I ordered a pizza, as you do, and I looked like a zombie. I feel like every time I get recognized, I look awful. That's usually how it goes. Like I'm not ready for it, especially locally. Like if I go to an airport, that's usually where I get recognized the most, because that's like a large group of people from a lot of places in one location, or like an event or something. But locally, especially in my town, people don't know who I am, and I'm turned off for that. Like I'm not Jon Prosser, 110% character. That part of me is not turned on.
Right.
And so I was a zombie, ordered pizza. A guy comes to the door, and I'm like, "Hey man," I'm just like, I wanted to tip him $5 and then take my pizza and like be fat for a second. Right. And he was just like, "Hey, holy shit." And I was like, and as soon as he said that, I was like, "Oh no, it's happening." Because like you have that out of body experience where you look at yourself the way that guy sees you, and you're like, "Dude, you look awful, John." This is the guy's memory. He's just gonna have. He came to your front door, and you look like this. And yeah, it was absolutely awful. Today I got recognized in a Walmart.
Oh,
don't go shopping on Christmas Eve. Don't do that. I walked past the electronics, which is always like a risk. But there's usually one place where it's always guaranteed. It's a Best Buy. You walk into a Best Buy, I go in there with a suit to try to look my best.
What happened in Walmart?
Gather around, children.
Walmart's an interesting place. What happened in Walmart?
Got one of the employees in the electronics recognized me, and I took a picture with him. It's probably on Twitter at this point. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about tech in 2018. A lot of things happened.
Oh, dude, so much.
And in a lot of ways, like the landscape has even changed just in the last 2.5 months, because at one point you had Apple just dominating everything. First $1 trillion company or whatever.
Yeah.
Like ridiculous.
They were dominating until like the end of October. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and I was actually thinking about making a video about this, and by the time this post, I would have decided one way or the other. I feel like one thing they did, which by the time you guys see this, you may see the video I put out about this, is like too many phone options. So I'm okay with like 2, a big one and a small one. That makes sense to me. You add a third, and then I think it becomes a little consumer confusion. And if you look at the 3 phones they have, you now have actually 12 SKUs because of the colors. So I feel like there's not just maybe consumer confusion, but you now have to manufacture all these different phones. So of course, when you cut back on your production,
that might not actually be as bad of a thing as people think, because you got like a color that may just be underperforming, right? Like it could just be one color, but no one's going to know that, right?
Well, that's something that I think we need to recognize is any move that Apple did this year, we all praised and seemed good. Right. All the like nonsense that's happening right now has been sort of out of their control. Like it's been media coverage, and like Apple hasn't been able to like speak up. We don't, and they're not going to. We're not going to get like sales numbers or anything like that. The one time they did speak up was, you know, about the 10R. They said it's been the most popular iPhone since launch and all that stuff. But like since October, since like right after the Series 4 announcement, like that event. Like they were positioned really, really well after they announced the iPad Pro and all that other stuff. It seemed really great. And then it just seemed like things spiraled out of control. And it all started with press coverage of the iPhone 10 not selling well.
Yeah, and you know what's happening now is there's a lot of rumors and stuff saying that they've moved marketing over to these like trade-in values for like the 10R now, which you can get for $449 if you trade in your old phone or whatever. Here's what concerns me. Now, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm still more of a Samsung fan than Apple fan, but I do love my 10R. I love my iPad Pro. It is fantastic. So I'm one of these guys, and I've done a video about, you know, brand loyalty. Well, I'm just in the middle. I just like what's best for my experience.
Yeah.
I am now concerned, as a person who likes cool technology and good things to push forward, that Apple will now overreact to this in 2019 and do something stupid. What do you think the chances are of that?
I've been scared of them like overreacting quite a bit, especially like in the past. But I want them really. I think the area that we need to be scared about is software. I think if they're going to get crazy, they're going to do it in software. I think they'll try to do a little bit too much probably with iOS 13, and it'll get messy again. The same we saw that with iOS 7. Like they needed a change. Android was catching up very, very quickly at that time, and they dropped iOS 7, and iOS 7 came with so many bugs that they still haven't fixed the stuff they introduced years ago in iOS 7 that was a mess. So I'm glad they took a step back with iOS 12. Like there were supposedly features that they were working on where iOS 12 was going to be a big overhaul, and then they canceled that to like sort of optimize stuff. I'm afraid that they're getting scared, and they're gonna feel the pressure, and they'll mess up software wise.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm concerned about too, especially since a lot of people are putting a lot of pressure on iOS 13 to make the iPad Pro more of a laptop. You know what I mean? So yeah, I hope they still do that, but by the same token, I feel like now, and I don't know how the inner workings of Apple works. I know that some companies are different, but when the pressure for sales comes in, depending on who is forming the narrative within that company, it's either like marketing's fault and they have to fix it, or it's software and hardware's fault, which I hope in this case is not what gets blamed for this, because I feel like that could cause some problems next year for sure.
Well, here's another interesting thing that like people seem to forget. Apple just had a record month. Like they're not losing money. I mean, they're losing money in stock value because of attention, media attention and stuff. But like in terms of what they were selling, they kept making more and more money, even though like smartphone sales had sort of plateaued, and you know the iPhones weren't selling like they used to for multiple reasons. But still, they were still making a crazy amount of money. They pulled that off every time. It's because the average sales price, I mean, just like last year, the year before, the average sales price for an iPhone was like $700. And now we're closer to $1,000 with average sales price. It's crazy. And that's a thing that I think that people need to really focus on here, because I mean, they're not going to give us unit sales anymore. And I think it's because they feel like they don't have to, because the number that matters is how much money they're making. And they keep charging more for these phones. So even if they do sell fewer units, they're still making more money. And that's the amount that investors are going to care about. And that, you know, when they're done with quarterly earnings and they announce that, that's where we'll see if Apple's actually in trouble.
Yeah, and I feel like that narrative is important, because it is so weird that media can have such a negative effect on the way a company handles their business, even if they are doing the right thing.
I mean, they've lost what, like almost 40% market value in like 100-something days.
This amount of money, so much money. Yeah,
it's nuts.
Well, that brings us to Samsung. So Samsung, I think it's interesting. So they brought out, of course, what every year is, and I said this in my last video, is like their best phone, the S9 and the Note 9. I think the Note 9 definitely up there for one of the top phones of the year. A lot of people would say that. Of course, I guess Marquez doesn't, but whatever. But regardless, they did a good job, but sales still, not doing well, as the video I just did talked about this. Like the
Samsung is like never, the past couple years, they're just like, I don't know, they miss the mark every year. I mean, they're great phones. I just think that their marketing's kind of whack, and they're probably getting a little too expensive for what their users are used to. Yeah,
we'll see if they do this whole 3. And I made a lot of like not friends in the comment section of the last Samsung video I did, but I'm like, I just don't like the 3-tiered option. Like, give me a low, smaller one and maybe a high end one. This whole 3-tier thing, I think
there's going to be like 5 S10 models. It's nuts.
If they even make 5 for, like, I could see 5 for like the world at large. If they try to come into the US market with 5, they've really lost their way. Like, they've legitimately lost their way.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, we're getting like, so we have the S10 Lite, the regular S10.
Is that what that is?
S10,
okay.
Then the S10 Plus, and then we got a 5G variant. Is there another one floating around? Because the 5G one will be in the US because it's coming to Verizon.
Sure, yeah, but that's like later in the year, right?
Yeah, like Q2, beginning of Q2, I think.
So I got a comment. Someone said there was 5, so I don't even know what the 5th one is, but it's kind of irrelevant, right? Because to me, like, if they actually are thinking like that, 5G I kind of get, but
and then you got the Note 10 later in the year.
Oh, right. The thing that wasn't supposed to come out next year, right?
Yeah.
That was So I mean, I get it, but I think like that's not the fix. And you've said this all year. It's like, it's more about software than hardware, because like at some point the hardware just becomes the same across all phones.
Yeah. And that's sort of what we're getting. I mean, the Note 10 is going to be a great phone, but like, what's going to be the actual difference? Why would somebody, like, if you just bought, say, an S10 Plus, why would you think about the Note 10 ever? That S Pen is just not it. It's not enough.
No, and you know what they used to do back in the day, which I always appreciated, is it actually would have the better processor and more RAM every year, and then they stopped doing that. I think around the 7. I think around the time they did 7, they used the same processor and everything. So there really was very little difference. Screen size, and then S Pen was pretty much it.
I think a lot of the issues with these phones are they're making them too good now. Like, especially for the average consumer, you don't have to. Your phone's not breaking anymore. You don't need to upgrade that stuff every year.
Yep. And that's the comment I got.
They're making quality stuff, and that's also an issue for them now.
Yep. And that's a comment I got recently on this last video. A lot of people were talking about, like, I have my S7, typing this on my S6. You know what I mean? Like,
do you know how many people still have the iPhone 6 and 6S?
It's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah.
It is crazy. And that's a problem. Like I said before, it's like, you're a victim of your own success.
Yeah.
Like, you make a good product.
But that's why Apple is shifting more towards their services. Because at some point you got to be like, okay, we're not going to convince, a large number of people that have never had an iPhone before to get a new iPhone. We already have a crazy large market share with people with iPhones, so we need to make them spend more money on the device they already have. We need to convince them to buy Apple Music or iCloud, and they need to keep rolling over services like that. And I think their services did really well this past year.
Yeah, that's going to be the case for a lot of those large companies. I think Amazon, one of their biggest things is like AWS. So there's a lot of companies that do that, and that's definitely, there's a lot more profit margin and something like that, because this is a virtual thing. It doesn't like actually exist. But let's move on to for Apple, we're worried that they might overreact. For Samsung, we think maybe they've lost their way. We're not real sure. But what about Google?
I think Samsung has to do something this year because it's the S10. It's like a significant year for them. And I feel like that's kind of the only reason they're going all out.
But if they really are doing like even 3 variants, it hurts me. It gives me toothaches. So what about Google? Like, for me personally, I think they just need to not make hardware anymore. Like,
did you get this?
No. Bastards.
Team Pixel. Dude, you should have seen my face. I thought I was getting a Pixel Slate.
Yeah, right.
And somehow, leave it to Google, they actually sent me something that was more disappointing than that. The FedEx guy knocks on the door. I open the door. He makes me sign for a box from Google. So I signed. Not big enough to be a pixel slate. As soon as I saw the box, I was like, oh no, like what could it possibly be? And then he handed it to me and it was so light. The box was crazy light. And I was like, what in the hell could this be from Google? I opened it up and this is what I saw. And I was just like, mother, I can't believe you. And they sent me a card and was like, thanks for being a part of Team Pixel. Yeah, well, Merry Christmas to me.
Well, you know, here's the thing. I like the fact that Google is trying something different with this kind of outreach thing, but it's very uneven. For me, it's very uneven. Like, some people got it, some people didn't. Some people are in, like, some people got this, some people didn't. It's not really clear what the line of demarcation is.
Well, they're supposed to be sending, I think you're on the same thing, right? The same marketing thing?
I was for the first one. I got the Pixel 3, but
so
I didn't
you're
get
on.
This.
You're on the thing. This was supposed to come like later in the week, but it got moved up to today. So I was like, "Whoa, Christmas miracle, Pixel Slate." Nope, it wasn't Pixel Slate. The actual Pixel Slate that they're trying to send out has been delayed since Marquez dropped his video.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it seems like they're going to slow their roll with influencers until they hand us something that will actually, be reviewable.
So this is a risk reward thing, right? Because I get it. Like, if they didn't go with the influencer route, they make us part of Team Pixel, the chances of the average person buying it, let alone knowing about it, is probably pretty slim. Right. But if you give it to the wrong influencers and they go hard on it, now you've got this. So,
well, that's what. Like, they sent me a phone. Like,
yeah, I know. I still don't understand that.
They sent and Drew from Talos of Tech, where he did nothing but just eviscerate that thing. Like, and there was no other way that could have gone. I can see Google being like, well, maybe he'll really like it. No, there was 0% chance of that happening. And like, I had it, and I loved that Pixel 3 so much that I gave it to Brian and bought an iPhone the next day. That's how great it was. Like, that. Talk about great marketing, Google.
Oh my God.
That actually happened. So I don't know. We're apparently part of the thing. You can tell they hired a completely different marketing team this year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's better.
Did you should have, I know you didn't, but you should have worn that in like the FPT video.
Oh yeah, this is today.
Is it?
I put
nice.
I was wearing, so I had to take a shower before this because I had I tweeted a picture of it. I had a Santa hat on with the beard and the whole thing. Dude, it was disgusting. I had like beard hairs in my mouth and it was awful. But in the FPT episode, I didn't want to take that Santa hat off, so I just put this on over the Santa hat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. One way to do it.
Creativity at its finest.
Totally. So, John, for you personally, like we've talked about the three major companies, but for you personally, like, tell us a little bit about like what your takeaway is from 2018 and what kind of things you're looking to accomplish in 2019.
I think learning from 2018, I want to focus on credibility in 2019. Like I started to focus on credibility through the last half of 2018, and that needs to be a big focus on our brand for 2019. So, and we're going to be introducing a couple different things to do that. Where we sort of played with a show called Breaking Point, where it was only serious. Like, I never joked in it, and it was like, very in-depth analysis on something. Like, we started with like net neutrality, and we've done it about Facebook, and I want to do more of that stuff. So I think honing what we do with Front Page Tech, but also we really want to add to the public schedule. We want more shows to go live, and it's looking like we'll probably need another editor. So like 2019 is probably going to be an expansion year for us. That's nice. As scary as it sounds.
That's awesome, man. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. I mean, you were definitely a huge part of my growth this year, and in a lot of ways, both directly and indirectly. And I definitely consider you a friend. So I thank you so much for coming in and taking a look at 2018 and looking forward to 2019 and all the crazy things I'm sure we're going to do like in this next year, because I'm all types of worried about that, because that FPT cult is real life.
I know. Now we have to do a collab where you're on my channel.
I'm in, man. I'm in. I have ideas for it too. Like I have some funny ideas, but I have to go there. I have to go to Ohio, which I might do this year. I got a little bit of ideas for some collabs this year. I have some funny ideas. That'd be fun.
If people just turn on the show and you're hosting it.
Well, so a couple things, like you say, well, I have a lot of ideas. I don't want to spoil them here because I think they're really funny. But like, oh, I got a tan, or something. Anyway, yeah, Anyway, I want to thank everyone for an incredible 2018 this year. You guys have made it so amazing. And Jon, thank you so much for coming on and sharing.
Oh yeah, anytime, dude.
But we will definitely do this again. And everyone, I want to say, be good, because in 2019 we about to get super big, super bad, super crazy. I got so many ideas and I'm so excited. I want to thank all y'all for watching once again. Peace and love. Peace and love.